With the release of Phase 3 quickly on the horizon, why don't we take a look at some different leveling methods for your journey from level 40 to 50. As always, it's not a bad idea to combine multiple methods listed here versus just doing one of them for your own sanity. But first up are Nightmare Incursions. Blizzard has introduced a new PvE event called Nightmare Incursions for Phase 3 that they promise will be useful for leveling for levels 25 to 50, besides the reputation rewards that you can also earn. Currently, they say it is separated by zone, with Duskwood being mostly level 25 content, Ashenvale being level 40 content, and Feralis plus the Hinterlands being level 50 content. After completing the started quest line near the portal from an NPC, you'll receive a satchel with missions that you can do. The developers have said that these missions could be a number of things, from missions to slay targets, gather resources, or even defeat a very powerful boss. The only downside is you may get missions to gather items you don't have professions for, like skinning, herbing, or mining, or the boss that you draw may not be able to beat solo. So the Blizzard recommends grouping up, since you'll supposedly get credit if someone else with the profession does end up gathering them. If the experience is decent and the time to complete these doesn't take that long, this could be the #1 way to spam to level 50. Bonus that it also gets your Emerald Web out of the way too for the new items. One of the most obvious methods would be setting up your quest log now with as many quests as you can do to go on a little turning spree when the phase goes live, possibly even gaining an instant level. And you might possibly have time to farm these quests before the phase even goes live, assuming you haven't started this method yet. But even if you can only get just a few quests done and ready to turn in, it'll be a nice chunky over-leveling journey done the moment the phase goes live. If you're like me though and farm most of these quests already for gold, silver lining is we got the money instead of the experience. Along that same thought, with the new phase, new quests are enabled. Currently we'll be looking at finishing up quests if you haven't already in zones like Arathi Highlands, Stranglethorn Vale, Swamp of Sorrows, and Badlands, or if you want to just jump straight into the newer content, you'll move into Tanaris, Hinterlands, and Feralis before finally heading towards places like Felwood, Ashara, Blasted Lands, Ungaro Crater, and Western Plaguelands. There are a lot of new zones and new quests that will be available for players to grind, and the best part is you can get all the flight pass now before the phase launches. Though, if the last two phase launches were any indicators, fighting for quest objectives on launch can be extremely hit or miss depending on your server population. Also, a general reminder that the more quests you do post the level 45 to level up means the less gold you can farm at 50 when you get to max level from the gold to XP conversion. A lot of people, especially at launch, will be spamming dungeon groups, whether it's Cathedral, Zul'Farrak, Uldaman, or slightly later on, Maraudon in the first parts of Blackrock Depths. So you have quite a few choices open to you if you don't want to actually go out into the world and level and instead spam dungeons. One benefit to dungeon farming over questing is that the potential upgrades to your gear with the updated dungeon drops you can get. Another is, since it's instance, there's no competition for mobs, and you can even get into a decent group that has a decent clear time, you'll be getting some extremely fast experience, potentially faster than you could get solo. Bonus points if you have any quests for that dungeon as well to do. Warlocks though can even skip the group completely if geared and skilled enough to just solo farm instances like those in Scarlet Monastery, or possibly even do the Zul'Farrak Undead farm with our new Drain, Shadowcleave, and Metamorphosis, but that remains to be tested. Blizzard mentioned that they also intend for Gnomer to be a good source of experience on the road from 40 to 50, so raiders, be sure to get in your Gnomer lockouts where you can. It probably won't be as good as for leveling as Black Fathom is for 25 to 40, but I would guess you're probably walking out of there with a level or a level and a half just full clearing. Lastly, the best method that you could do to level is to just stay in the forest killing boars, because killing boars in the forest is a good way to... okay, I'm just kidding. Kind of. But seriously, another method of leveling would be to just smashing out mob kills South Park style in appropriate level zones with mobs you can reliably kill fast, even if they're only green level to you. Whether you fight one at a time or multiples in a quasi AoE style, every kill is XP earned and one step closer to level cap. In Phase 2, I grinded Scarlet Monastery from levels 29 to 37 and just couldn't take it anymore after that, so I instead went to Desolace for 2 levels in the Kodo Graveyard, and then grinded levels 39 to 40 at the Arathi Highlands near the water elementals, purely killing mobs, and I did 0 quests in between them. All I did was put on Netflix and just kill mobs non-stop. It was pretty easy, and the crazy thing was my time spent leveling was comparable to the pug groups I was getting in Scarlet Monastery. It was taking me about on average 1 to 1.5 hours per level solo grinding, which isn't the most crazy fast leveling times, it's not speedrunning at all, but it's not that slow either. This was also before the Phase 2 leveling buff was enabled, so you can probably even do it faster now. Another factor to consider, like we mentioned in the questing section, is that as we are heading towards 50s and 60s, content is spread across fewer and fewer zones, meaning there'll be less and less quests you can do for gold at level cap for phase compared to previous phases, unless the developers add in more specifically for the 50 to 60 run. It's no secret vanilla gets less and less leveling content the closer you get to 60, simply because the developers back in 2004 didn't have the time or money to complete them like they had been envisioned. This won't be much of an issue though at 60, since as the phases go on, more and more quests will be added that are opened up as other raid tiers are released in future phases. Just to wrap up, ideally you'd want to combine multiples of these methods, like say killing mobs to and from quest objectives or just running dungeons to a certain point, and then resetting them for maximum min-maxing leveling. But honestly, with the experience buff going live the day Phase 3 goes live as well, combined with other things like the sleeping bag and rested experience and ends, leveling to 50 shouldn't take people very long at all, even if they're only playing an hour or two a night. If you enjoyed the video, why not give us a like and a sub? Have a leveling idea we may have missed or want to discuss more in the comments? Well, let us know. Otherwise, have a good night and thanks for tuning in.